Hi, welcome back or welcome to my channel. If you're new, my name is Laura. Hi, hello, welcome. Today we are actually going to do a palette bingo featuring all of the new palettes. I'm trying to grab them real quick. All of the new palettes that are in my rotating palette project series that I'm doing here on my channel in order to get more use out of my actual collection and not just hyper focusing on the things that I'm trying to hit pan on. I decided to switch out from pan those eyeshadows to doing a rotating palette series, really trying to focus in and use every shade in my collection at least once. It's almost like the no pans left behind challenge, but I'm not going to fret if I don't use a pan of eyeshadow. That's fine. It's not a big deal. It's not that serious. We are just trying to show love to the expensive things that we've bought and have stashed in our stash. And when I say our, I mean the expensive things that I've bought that I just keep locked in that chest back there. So I have my 4 eyeshadow palettes, and I think maybe I might roll in a shade from either my Pan That palette or my Build Your Own palette, just to have a little bit more fun, you know? So the first thing we need to do is actually generate a couple randomly selected shades. So I am not going to it doesn't really matter what palette I do first, because I am going to randomly select a shade in each of the palettes. So one shade from each of the palettes, and then we'll go from there. So we'll start with the Going Coconuts just because it's on top. So I'm going to put the numbers 1 through 9 in pretty random, and we are going to go this direction. So here is this shade number 7 in there. Ooh, 7 is actually this guy here, which is in another palette. So let me go grab that real quick. Shade number 7 is actually the shade Get Crackin', which is not my favorite shade in this palette. The formula on it is just not great. And I'll show you mine, which is this guy here now. It was in my Fantasy Self palette. The shade has cracked so much from just the simple fact of it's a very lightly pressed and powdery shade. So the first shade is going to be Get Crackin'. Let me swatch that out. And just full disclosure, my hands have a bit of sunscreen on them, so the product's sticking a little bit weird. But that is Get Crackin'. A matte with glitter. Totally fine. The next palette is going to be the Juvia's Place Deuce palette. This also has 9 shades in there. I do have Prevent Rerolls on, but I just cleared History. And we are going to hit shade number 8. Dang it! Oh gosh, I don't like this shade. That is super, super disappointing. So the shade that I rolled is Mont Blanc, which is just a very lackluster silver in my opinion. Maybe it is performing better today for some unknown reason, but Mont Blanc, the shade that is my least favorite in that palette. It's fine. It's fine. We're going to use it anyway. Moving to my Glam Light Ice Cream Dream palette. This palette has 30 shades in it. So I have 1 through 30 now on my Pretty Random app, and we have shade number 18. So, oh gosh, as I just dig my nail into more things. So we have 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18. I've actually used this shade once. Not going to go that well with the silver, but it's fine. It definitely has some gold shift to it. So this is going to be very interesting, very mint chocolate chip. So there's that. The nice thing is the green brown palette will tie in this selection pretty well. I believe there's 28 shades in here. So the green brown has 28 shades, and we're gonna do 1 through 7, and then we'll just work our way down. Okay, so we have 1 through 28. We have Prevent Rerolls off because it doesn't really matter. Shade 15. Ooh. Oh, that's a very nice staple color. So 1 through 7, 8 through 14, 15 is this guy here. Just a very easy to use transition color. What an unexciting shade from this palette. So that is, I mean, that's a very cohesive. What are the odds of having like a very cohesive color story like that? Oh, by the way, that shade was Flamingo, I want to say. No, that shade was Shell from the green brown palette. If I feel the need or the liberty to use anything from my build your own palette to go with these, I definitely will. Same thing with my subculture. So I can also reach into my subculture palette for any like additional shades to complement this. So that is enough rambling. Let me just put my primer on my eyes and then zoom you in, and we can just get right into this, okay? Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is actually take my Natasha Denona shade, this like neutral leaning mid-tone pinky brown. I'm going to take that, and that's going to be our first transition shade. I have a feeling this is going to be a very mint chocolate chip-esque kind of look. Just totally fine. I love those kind of eye looks personally. There's just something about like brown and like a minty kind of green that just is such a good color pairing to me. That is so pretty. That would be such a good like one and done. Like I could see myself like, I'm like bent down so I can see myself in my big mirror, but I feel like I could wear this to the office, like throw that on, throw mascara, maybe like a little liner, and be like done out the door in like 10 minutes rather than like a whole thing, you know? I am going to go in with the Going Coconut shade, Get Crackin', that guy there. That is in the Fantasy Self palette that Haley and I are doing. This shade is actually in that palette as a shade that I don't really like, but we're going to make it work today. It's going to be totally fine, and we're going to get some usage, some decent usage for that Fantasy Self project. Gosh, it's so powdery. Okay, and now that we have the Get Crackin' in the outer corners, I'm going to take a little bit more of Shell from the Natasha Denona palette and then just really buff the outer edge of it out. Almost trying to get rid of the silver flakes that Get Crackin' leaves. Because Get Crackin' is one of those like matte with shimmers where the shimmer is just so in there that it picks up pretty well on the eye, in my opinion. Like, you might not be able to see it on camera, but I can definitely tell in real life the silver that's like all right here. All right, I am going to take a brush that had my, what is left of my like cream color. I'm just going to pick that up just to blend. I was just over here. I don't like how this is looking. I just need my skin tone color. Like just a nude to buff that out. Then we're going to take my Glam Light, this beauty, and we're going to take the shade Birthday Cake is what we rolled in. Shade number 18 over here. I am going to put a glitter glue down because I do find that these Glam Light shades look better when applied with a glitter glue, personally. So that's what we're going to do. I feel like I could have done this as a halo eye. I think I'm going to make this a halo eye. I'm going to put the brown in the inner, but I already had the glitter glue on, so this could be a very bad idea. Like, something in me is just telling me, do the halo eye. Just do the halo eye. Do it. So we're going to go in with Birthday Cake and the very center of the lid. Okay, now that I have that on, I am going to go back in with Going Coconuts in the shade Crackin', that guy. And we're going to put that on the inner, we're going to fluff it into the inner portion of the eyelid. Don't do as I do. If you're going to recreate this, do this part first. Do the inner corner first. It makes it so much easier. It's not impossible to do the halo eye with the second like the inner halo second or the outer halo second, but it just makes it easier to do it first. All right, and then we're gonna pick up another bit of that first transition shade that we used that was from the Natasha Denona Green Brown, the shade Shell, and then just buff the outer corner, or the outer edge, excuse me. Kind of want to put most of the emphasis on this portion of the crease as well, since we didn't previously blend that. Okay, this is not looking bad. I am not mad at this at all. I'm really trying to figure out what I want to do on my lower lash line, because I feel like I could totally just do the same on the lower, but I also kind of want to like do a little different, but I don't know. We might just do brown on the lower lash line, keep it a little bit boring. I am going to go in with Get Crackin', and we're just going to tap that on the lower lash line. I'm making sure to tap off the excess because it is pretty powdery. I definitely have fallout from the shade on my under eyes, which typically doesn't really bother me because I do my eye makeup first. But when I film these kinds of videos, I tend to do like my face makeup first, so you don't have to see my blemishes and stuff. So, all right, and then we're gonna go back in with Shell from the Natasha Denona palette, and we're gonna buff out the lower lash line where we put the darker shade. We're gonna go right under that to buff out a little more. All right, and then the last thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just take a little bit of the cream shade that I've been blending out the crease work, and then just do the lower as well. The last thing we need to do is go in with my Juvia's Place Deuce palette and put the silver on the lid. Effectively, what I am going to assume is going to ruin the look and not enhance it as much as I want it to, but we're just going to throw it on the inner corner and call it a day. Maybe a little bit on the brow bone because that is my jam. It's not as like bright as I want that portion of my eye to really be, but it's not the worst. It's not the worst than brow bone. I might get like a few, you're cheating, you didn't put it much anywhere. And for those people, we're gonna put just a touch right in the center, effectively doing nothing. So, and that is really it for this. I am going to put on mascara and I'll be right back. Okay, so this is the finished look using all four of those rotating project palettes, whatever I'm doing, the rotating palette project. This is the eye look featuring one shade from each of those palettes. I cannot believe what an incredibly cohesive and like totally up my alley eye look that this randomly selected. There is something so magical to me about pairing like a cool toned brown like this with that minty kind of shade. Absolutely loving this. Absolutely loving this. Then I'm excited because I get to wear this and film my Deck of Panning update, and that is always makes you feel good when you like feeling yourself when you're about to film a video and post it for the world to see. So that is it. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see another like palette bingo, or if you want to see any specific palette content featuring any of these four palettes, again, the Natasha Denona Green Brown, which is this beauty, the Going Coconuts palette, oh my gosh, which is this beauty, the Juvia's Place Deuce palette, which is that beautiful thing, or the Glam Light Cake palette, or not cake, the Glam Light Ice Cream Dream. Again, I did film a 3 looks 1 palette with this a while ago. I'll post it. But if you want to see another like couple looks with this, maybe you just want to see like one eye look using each palette solely, like one look using this, one look using this, one look using this, and a look using this. So like 4 looks with 4 palettes, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. In my head it does, but sometimes when I say it, it doesn't make sense to anyone else but me. My brain makes sense to myself, which, you know, I would hope. But that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know any palette projects that you guys are doing. Let me know any palettes that are on your radar. I always want to know. I always want to know what's out there. Not that I'm going to buy anything right now, but I like to know. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys are staying healthy, sane, and safe, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye!